My name is Yedan Yasharal, and today is Rosh Chodesh, which is the new month. We are entering the 5th month, and these are required gatherings where we are to practice coming together and keeping the months. Now, we know we're going into the 5th month, and what's the significance of that? Well, it's the 5th month. It brings us closer to the 7th month because we know we got the holy days coming. So Yahweh commanded that we gather every month at the head of the month and to go through his book, his Torah, his laws, and to gather and to also feast and do those type of things. So the title of today's class is called False Witness, False Doctrine Slayers. False Witness, False Doctrine Slayers. And we're going to open up in Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 19. And we're just going to read 15 through 21. And we're going to get the law pertaining to witnessing. Deuteronomy, chapter 19. And we're going to start at verse 15. And we're going to go through 21. And this is the law pertaining to a witness and a false witness and the judgment thereof. So we're going to open up in Devarim, chapter 19, and start at verse 15. All right, go ahead, brother.
One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established.
So there's a righteous system in place. One person that he say, she say, that's not enough. It has to be more than one individual that's going to speak up so that you can take somebody's word, because anybody will say what they want to say to defend themselves or see things a certain way. But when you have multiple people, you can establish, okay, well, you heard somebody else's side of the story as well. Go ahead, brother.
If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days.
So how do you know that you have a false witness? How do you know there's a matter between people and something is brought up? How do you know you have a false witness?
The Holy Spirit is going to tell me there's a lie.
Well, you're not going to. Yeah, the Holy Spirit will tell you who the false witness is.
Right.
But how do you know there is a false witness? Period. In the matter.
There's conflicting.
There's 2 different stories.
Yeah.
So one person is saying he hit me, and the other person is saying no, I didn't even touch him. So you have 2 conflicting stories here. So somebody's being a false witness. So that's why you need 2 or more people so that you can establish, okay, well, either they got together and decided to lie, or at least you have somebody. You're not just taking one person's word for it. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 18. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother, then shall you do unto him, as he had thought to have done unto his brother, so shall you put the evil away from among you. So in that same situation, now there's meat to when Yahshua said, he without sin cast the first stone. Because he said, first of all, y'all not fit for judgment. Judgment is being removed from our hands because we're a respecter of persons. But he's also saying, go ahead, cast that stone, because this is unrighteous judgment right here, because you have the woman who so-called got caught in the very act. Well, where's the person? Where's the person? Where's the man that supposedly slept with this woman? Because you need a man to sleep with the married woman. And how do you know that wasn't a husband that did that? You know, and you saw from a distance or whatever. So he already saw there was unrighteous judgment to begin with, that they're just trying to persecute this woman like society likes to persecute women, you know, especially involving this word. They like to persecute women. So he immediately
bust that up. He without sin cast the first stone. And it all goes down to this same law right here. Go ahead and finish.
And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And your eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
Okay, so that's how the law was initially. It was, okay, that person lied, kill him. You wanted to have, that's what was going to happen to you. And we've seen that happen several times, several situations. Oh, you wanted to put that man in a position where he was losing his life and he was innocent. Okay, well, you got exposed as a false witness. Well, now that judgment is on you. You've called that on you. Because we've read in here plenty of times, Yahweh loves righteous judgment. And you're going to come and you're going to lie on your brother or sister. That's basically murder. So if you murder somebody, that's a murder for you. You know, and that, if it's on a murder level, or if it's on you stole from this brother, or you try to do this, you try to blame somebody, what the same judgment you thought to have to your brother that you did false witness will happen to you. Now, what we don't take in consideration is when we say we love Yahweh, when we say we love Yah and we don't obey, we false witnesses. Because you're witnessing out of your mouth that I love him. Yes, I'm a witness. I'm telling the truth. No, you're not. Where's the other witness? Your actions, the word, Yahshua. Those are the other witnesses. And they're going to speak against you and say, no, you don't. You know, and when we spread false doctrine, we're false witnesses. Same situation. When we take a hold of something and we know something is right or something is wrong, and we say, well, we want to spread it this way because it makes us look favorable. It makes the other person look bad. That's a false witness. And what is it? Yashaya chapter 42, I believe, 42 or 49. It says, Israel, you are my witnesses. So what kind of witness are you? Are you a righteous witness that speaks the word? Or are you a false witness? Because if you're a false witness, the same thing that you try to lie to have somebody else, which could cost somebody else's life, could cause you your life. So we're going to go into the Apocrypha. Let's go to Susanna chapter 1. And we're going to see a little bit about these false witnesses. Susanna, this is an Apocrypha, and we're going to put it up on the big screen. And these are one of the books that display the wisdom of Daniel, the wisdom of our prophets from when he was young. And they pulled these books out. They decided this wasn't important for you to understand. This wasn't enough salvation in you understanding how to judge righteously and how to catch people in lies and all that. No, that's not important. You just believe what we tell you.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
And these books expose that pre-moving over to Lord, because it's exposing that, yeah, these heathens worship Baal. And we're in Susanna chapter 1, and the title of this class is called False Witness, False Doctrine Slayers. And we just read Devarim chapter 19, Deuteronomy, and we read the law of witnessing and the false witness and how you had to have 2 or more witnesses to judge a matter. And if the false witness came about and tried to have somebody else receive judgment and was proven as a false witness, then the same thing you wanted to have to your brother or your sister would happen to you. And we're at Susanna chapter 1. Go ahead, brother.
There dwelt a man in Babylon called Jehoiakim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, a very fair woman, one that feared Yahweh. Her parents were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moshe. Jehoiakim was a great rich man and had a fair garden joining unto his house. And to him resorted the Yehuda, because he was more honorable than all the others. 2 elders desired Susanna. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as Yahweh spoke of, that wickedness came from Babylon from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Jehoiakim's house, and all that had any suits in law came to them. Now when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went to her husband's garden to walk. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her.
Okay, so these elders saw her walking. Now, she would have been dressed in a normal attire. She would have been dressed appropriately. But the lust was so powerful in them that it didn't matter what she wore. They were going to lust after her. But now you have brothers in the word now, you know, we're trying to change, and a lot of us are trying to work on that lust. And then you have a sister walk in the room half naked. You know, that's difficult for a young brother who's trying to get his lust under control. Now an elder, you're supposed to have mastered that. You know, just like when you see, you know, young kids and they talk, oh, I love this girl, I'm so hurt, this, that. The older man will say, man, tighten up. Get a hold of yourself. Stop wearing your heart on your sleeve. He's supposed to have those kind of things under control. But these elders here are lusting hard after this married woman. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust, that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, let us now go home, for it is dinner. So when they were gone out, they parted, the one from the other. And turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that, they had asked one another the cause. They acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together, where they might find her alone.
Okay, so this is the problem when you have two wicked people together. Because if one of these brothers would have been a righteous judge and would have said, you know what, we both got caught doing wickedness. Yeah, it was different. I was by myself. And maybe I didn't have enough strength to do the right thing. But there's another brother. Out of two brothers, you telling me one is not going to say, you know what? Oh, man, this was wicked, man. We tripping, man. Let's go home. You know, I'm embarrassed. And you a judge, too. And you should be embarrassed. You know, we're an example. All right. We got away with it. We shouldn't do this. Let's go repent. Let's go move on and just leave it here and go seek the Father and pray for help about this weakness. But instead, oh, they got even more wicked. They got even more emboldened to be wicked. It should never be easy for any brother or sister to come around you with wickedness. And you right there, and it's okay. Now, you can't force that person to walk in righteousness, but they shouldn't be able to entice you into wickedness. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 15. And it fell out, as they watched a fit time, she went in as before with two maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there save the two elders that had hid themselves and watched her. Then she said to her maids, bring me oil and washing bowls, and shut the garden doors, that I may wash you. And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves at privy doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now when the maids were gone forth, the two elders rose up and ran to her, saying, behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us. And we are in love with you. Therefore consent unto us, and lie with us. If you will not, we will bear witness against you that a young man was with you, and therefore you did send away your maids from me. Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it, than to sin in the sight of Yahweh. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her.
So this is a virtuous sister right here. She said, listen, I fear not what those that can kill the body. Fear the person that can kill the body and the spirit and your eternal spirit. Fear that person. She said, I'd rather put my hands in and face Yahweh's judgment rather than face man's judgment. And I know Yahweh's judgment is death unto my soul. If I'm a married woman and I sleep with these other brothers, I can't do that. I fear that judgment first rather than man. And furthermore, I trust, I have faith. But it's a difficult situation, and we're in that situation every day and don't realize it. Every time we have to make a decision between doing sin and not doing sin, we're in that same position. Because there's some reason, either man, ourselves, we're fighting with, or somebody else, peer pressure, or trying to fit in with the world. We're in that same situation. But who are you going to put your hands in? Your life in what hands? In Yahweh's hands? Or are you going to put it in your own hands, your own flesh, or the people around you?
Verse 25. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at the privy door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Jehoiakim, the two elders came also full of mischievous imagination against Susanna, to put her to death, and said before the people, Send for Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, Jehoiakim's wife. And so they sent. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman, and beauteous to behold. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept.
So why was her face covered?
Well, basically, I think it's for shame and also for she didn't want them to see her face no more.
She was mourning.
Yeah, she's ashamed.
That's when our sisters covered their whole face like that, veiled themselves like that, was for several reasons. Either they were mourning, like you even see to this day, they wear the veils over their face. You know, these Catholic, I guess, funerals or whatever. You see it on the movies. They veil their face, just like King David when he went up that mountain. He veiled his face. He's mourning, and all the other brothers with him, they covered their face. Either that or a prostitute, because she's ashamed. But when you're crying and you're mourning, you don't want everybody seeing your face all disfigured and in such a weakened state. You cover your face. So she was mourning. She wasn't guilty. She was mourning because she was like, whoa, what? The woman obviously had a good report, but she's being afflicted and she's suffering.
Yes, she's suffering.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 33. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in Yahweh. And the elders said, As we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors and sent the maids away. Then a young man who there was hid came unto her and lay with her. Then we that stood in the corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw together, the man could not hold, for he was stronger than me, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the assembly believed them. And those that were elders and judges of the people, so they condemned her to death. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice, saying, O everlasting Elohim, that knows the secrets and knows all things before they be, you know that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. And Yahweh heard her voice. Therefore, when she was let out to be put to death, Yahweh raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. And all the people turned them toward him and said, What mean these words that you have spoken?
So if he part of that false witnessing, saying, yeah, kill her, yeah, she did this, he's saying, I'm clear of this blood. This woman is innocent. So they're like, okay, who's this young man? How, you know, these two esteemed elders, everybody's being respected of person. Hey, these elders came. I know this woman got a great report. They don't have the actual brother. So this is an unrighteousness to begin with. You got to have both parties. You can't have one party and just say, okay, I'm going to kill her. Where's the other person? And he smelt something wrong. First of all, the judge is supposed to know this. And this young man, Daniel, this prophet, was already so wise that he said, wait a minute. they're not even handling this according to the law. So something ain't right. You're not handling it according to law. Righteous judgment ain't doing something. Something don't smell right. Go ahead.
Verse 48. So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Aren't you such fools, you sons of Yasharal, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, you have condemned a daughter of Yasharal?
You didn't seek the matter diligently. You said, no, them brothers said it, that's good. What's the point of a judge then? Just because somebody said it is cool? That's being a respectful person. No, let's hear it out. Where's the other person? And you don't even have the other person. You trying to give judgment, unrighteous judgment, because you don't have the proper pieces in place to enact that judgment. And then on top of that, you're not even seeking diligently into the matter. You like, let's kill her. A woman who has no track history. As known, even her husband is a righteous man. Go ahead.
And why was they in the garden?
Right.
It was her garden, not theirs.
Right. What they was doing, they made a little story. We was walking and happened to see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 49. Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste. And the elders said to him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing Elohim has given you the honor of an elder.
So they being facetious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So go ahead. Since you have the honor of an elder, where you can question us, because when you question an elder, remember according to our law, that's according to our tradition and our customs. You need to have at least 2 or 3 brothers to come up. But he got the honor of an elder because he's saying, now, are you fools? He talking to his people. Are you fools? You don't see the problem in here? Go ahead.
Then said Daniel unto them, Put these 2 aside, one far from another, and I will examine them.
And that's where the police get that from. That same tactic. Separate them and let's hear the story. Go ahead.
So when they were put asunder from one another, he called one of them and said unto them, O you that are waxen old in wickedness, now your sins which you have committed aforetime are come to light. For you have pronounced false judgment, and have condemned the innocent, and has let the guilty go free. Albeit, Yahweh says, the innocent and righteous shall you not slay. Now then, if you have seen her, tell me, under what tree saw you them accompanying together? Who answered, under a mastic tree. And Daniel said, very well, you have lied against your own head. For even now the angel of Elohim has received the sentence of Elohim to cut you in 2. So he put him aside and commanded to do the other, and said unto him, O you seed of Canaan, and not of Yehuda, beauty has deceived you, and lust has perverted your heart. Thus have you dealt with the daughters of Yasharal, and they for fair companied with you. But the daughter of Yehuda would not abide your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, under what tree did you take them companying together? Who answered, under a home tree.
Okay, so it's different trees now. Thought it was a mastic tree. I don't know what either trees look like, but I know it's 2 different trees. Go ahead.
Then Daniel said unto him, Well, you have lied against your own head. For the angel of Elohim waits with the sword to cut you in 2, that he may destroy you.
According to the law. Did we not just mention it earlier that Yahweh loves righteous judgment? So according to our law, the same law you were being a respecter of persons and using partiality in the law to enact judgment quickly, swift unrighteous judgment, then the righteous judgment, which has to be carried out swiftly, is what you intended to happen to this virtuous woman, this daughter of Yehuda, is going to happen to you. Go ahead.
Verse 60. With that all the assembly cried out with a loud voice, and praised Elohim, who saves them that trust in him. And they arose against the 2 elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth. And according to the law of Moshe, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore, Hilkiah and his wife praised Elohim for their daughter Susanna, with Jehoiakim her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth, Daniel had a great reputation in the sight of the people.
Because he was a wise brother. Now, these are the clues. This is the things that we have to learn as brothers and sisters, that if we make it to this kingdom, then we will eventually judge angels. If we make it, if we can get rid of this corruption in us. So we need to learn those little things from these stories to pull out lies from people. Number one, there's truth and there's lies. The law is truth, 100%. If somebody is trying to apply judgment quickly without following the manner that is set forth in this law, at that point, you need to slow down and say, wait, somebody's lying. Because especially if that person knows better, if you're an elder, or you're a judge, or you're somebody that's in position of power that's supposed to know these things, but yet you're still trying to enact judgment, that means there's something else behind it. Either you have a wicked heart, because who wants to do that to your own brother and sister without seeking diligently? Or you have a ulterior motive. So these are the things. When you deal with people, deal with them according to the law. It doesn't matter whether they know it or not. The spirit of truth is a spirit. So you deal with them according to that spirit of truth. And you wait. And Yahweh is going to show. Because that is the big telltale all sign. Somebody's trying to enact judgment on you without seeking diligently in the matter, or proving the matter, or even handling it according to the way things are supposed to be handled. Whether they don't want to bring you before the elders, they don't want to bring you before the people to make a decision. They just want to enact judgment. Sign number one. All right, let's move on to Bel and the dragon, which is also in the Apocrypha, which also has Daniel. These are two great, powerful stories.
Say that again.
Bel and the dragon.
These are two great stories about judgment and using wisdom and the deceit. And they pulled them out. And this one, we're going to see why they pulled this one out.
This was Bel and the dragon.
Bel, aka Baal. The E is pronounced Ah, like L or Ah. It's Baal.
Starting at verse 1.
Yes, Bel and the dragon. And we're going to start this at verse 1. 1 second. All right, go ahead, brother.
And King Astyages was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king, and was honored above all his friends. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Bel, and there were spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine. And the king worshipped it, and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own Elohim. And the king said unto him, Why do you not worship Bel? Who answered and said, Because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the living Elohim, who created the heaven and the earth, and has sovereignty over all flesh. Then said the king unto him, Think you not that Bel is a living Elohim? Seest you not how much he eats and drinks every day?
So the king is like, wait a minute, how are you going to tell me my God ain't real? You don't see all this stuff that we giving him? You don't see all these, what did they say? Every day they were spending upon him 12 great measures of fine flour and 40 sheep and 6 vessels of wine. And they placing it before him, this idol, every day. And he's like, you don't see this stuff getting ate up?
Who eats it though?
Yeah, who's eating it? He's believing that this God is eating it. And it sounds so gullible to be like, really? You know that ain't happening.
Right.
Well, this is no different than how we see these Christian churches. These people are broke and poor, and they're spending all their money thinking that they're giving it to God. God don't need that. This is his footstool. What he needs your money for? But you really believing that this God is real, this Lord, This Jehovah that you giving all this money to is real, because you don't see all this money is gone. You look, it's gone. It's no different. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Then Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without, and did never eat or drink anything. So the king was wroth, and called for his priests, and said unto them, if you tell me not who this is that devours these expenses, you shall die.
So Daniel said, be not deceived. It's just clay and brass. He didn't eat this. Now, did he know exactly how it was being done and how it was going on at that exact moment? Maybe, maybe not. But he didn't have to know. Why? Because he knows it's an idol. Look, there's only one living Elohim. That thing didn't eat it. That's clay and some wood and some brass. That didn't eat it. I don't need to be a genius. And this is what this word does to you. It gives you wisdom in the sight of the nations, because you know certain things according to the creator. The architect of it all told you this is what it is. This is what it is. That's how I know there's 364 days. Because the architect gave it. I know it. That's how I know when it's going to be New Year, and I know when it's going to be New Month. I know all these things because the architect gave it. I don't have to understand everything. All I have to do is believe. And he believes his Elohim. So he's stepping out. Look, hey, don't. He's smiling because he's like, I already know the answer to this. And I trust, give it time, I'm going to find this lie. Go ahead.
Verse 9. But if you can certify me that Bel devours them, then Daniel shall die. For he has spoken blasphemy against Bel. And Daniel said unto the king, let it be according to your word. Now the priests of Bel were 70.
70.
Beside their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Bel. So Bel's priest said, lo, we go out. But you, O king, set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with your own signet.
That's this typical magicianry. They're nothing but magicians.
That's right.
So these magicians were originally priests. Priests of who? The adversary, the devil. That's who they were priests of. Mm-hmm. They doing trickery, and they're doing lies, deceit, and all these type of things. And they what does the magician do? Here, you hold it. Watch this. You do it. Watch. Here, watch. You pick the card. I'm gonna show you. Same thing. That's part of the same spiel every time. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And tomorrow, when you come in, if you find not that Bel has eaten up all, we will suffer death. Or else Daniel that speaks falsely against us. And they little regarded it. For under the table they had made a privy entrance, whereby they entered in continually and consumed those things.
A trap door. That's how people disappear. They got a trap door. Go ahead.
So when they were gone forth, the king set meats before Bel. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewed throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then went they out and shut the door and sealed with the king's signet, and so departed.
So, they're like, okay, what is he putting these ashes all over the place? But, hey, no, we just spread, we just want to spread these ashes here, just for whatever reason. No, you'll see.
It's alone.
Go ahead.
Verse 15. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they were wont to do.
As they were not supposed to do, right.
And did eat and drink of all. In the morning, betime the king rose, and Daniel with him. And the king said, Daniel, are those seals whole? And he said, Yea, O king, they be whole. And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, Great are you, O Bel, and with you is no deceit at all. Then laughed Daniel and held the king that he should not go in, and said, Behold now, the pavement, and mark whose footsteps are these.
So he laughing hard because he's like, you don't see these footsteps all over the floor. You can see different sizes, kids, women, this, that, and the other. And Hebrews, he probably gave him a laughing stock, embarrassing laugh. And see, they pull these stories out. And I'm starting to realize why they pull these stories out. Another reason, when Cyrus, the king of Persia, and he's freeing us and doing all these great things. And it just looked like, these other people, these other nations, these heathens are pretty good people. There's some good heathens. Well, what they didn't mentioned was all this wisdom and knowledge and things that Daniel was doing that made Cyrus say, well, you know what? I don't want no problems with they got. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And the king said, I see the footsteps of men, women, and children. And then the king was angry, and took the priests with their wives and children, who showed him the privy doors, when they came in, and consumed such things as were on the table.
Where?
Therefore the king slew them, and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, who destroyed him and his temple. And in the same place were the great dragon, which they of Babylon worshipped. And the king said unto Daniel, will you also say that this is of brass? Lo, he lives. He eats and drinks. You cannot say that he is no living Elohim. Therefore, worship him. Then Daniel said unto the king, I will worship Yahweh my Elohim, for he is the living Elohim. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I give you leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair, and did seethe them together, and made lumps thereof. And he put it in the dragon's mouth, so that the dragon burst them asunder. And Daniel said, lo, these are the gods you worship.
So he clogged it up and it made it explode. Like, okay, if this is a god, he gonna stop me from doing this, or he gonna spit it out.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king, saying, the king is becoming Yehuda, and he has destroyed Bel. He has slain the dragon and put the priests to death. So they came to the king and said, deliver us, Daniel, or else we will destroy you and your house. Now when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained, he delivered Daniel to them, who cast him into the lion's den, where he was 6 days.
So it had to be multiple things. See, this is more to the story that they're not telling you. You know, they had him, first he's praying to Elohim and this, that, and the other. But it wasn't just that he was praying that made him dislike him. He said he was outsmarting the guides and the people around and pissing these people off about their idols. So this is more to that story. And you can see the wisdom and the righteousness of this brother. Go ahead.
And in the den there were 7 lions, and they had given them every day 2 carcasses and 2 sheep, which then were not given to them, to the intent that they might devour Daniel. Now there was in Yehuda a prophet called Habakkuk, who had made pottage and had broken bread in a bowl, and was going into the field for to bring it to the reapers. But the angel of Yahweh said unto Habakkuk, go, carry the dinner that you have into Babylon to Daniel, who's in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Yahweh, I have never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. Then the angel of Yahweh took him by the crown, and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den.
Wow.
And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which Elohim has sent you.
So this brother went to heaven. He went to the second heaven.
Pretty deep, right?
Because once he comes off of the ground, no, that's the first heaven. I'm sorry. He went into the first heaven. Once he comes up off the ground, he's in the first heaven.
Right.
Now, if he goes into space, he's in the second heaven. And if he goes beyond the waters and all that other stuff where Yahweh dwells, that's the third heaven. He can't go there. But he's gone to heaven. Go ahead.
Verse 38. And Daniel said, you have remembered me, O Elohim, neither have you forsaken them that seek you and love you. So Daniel rose and did eat. And the angel of Yahweh set Habakkuk in his own place again immediately. Upon the 7th day, the king went to bewail Daniel. And when he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting. Then cried the king with a loud voice, saying, great are you, O Yahweh Elohim of Daniel, and there is none other beside you. And he drew him out and cast those that were the cause of his destruction into the den, and they were devoured in a moment before his face.
Okay, so again, now another reason you can see they took it out, they using Lord and Baal in the same sentence. And they're talking about the same God here when you're using Lord, which is Baal, and Bel, which is Baal. So Bel signifying Lord or Master, is a title rather than a genuine name applied to various gods in the Mesopotamian religion of Akkad, Assyria, and Babylonia. The feminine form is Belit, lady mistress. Bel is represented in Greek as Belos and in Latin as Belus. Linguistically, Bel is an East Semitic form cognate with Northwest Semitic Baal with the same meaning. Bel became especially used of the Babylon god Marduk. So that was that dragon, I believe was called Marduk. And Bel is just another way to say Baal.
Oh.
Same thing. All right, we're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 10. And let's hear the conclusion of this. So, you have false witnesses, and now we're going to get into the false doctrine slayers. You know, after you show that they're doing false witness, then the righteous judgment has to take place. And we saw that happen. We saw that happen in several situations here. But what we like to do is we see a false witness. We just, hey, it ain't me. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to be quiet. Well, we supposed to be the false doctrine slayers. We supposed to be the lie slayers. We are supposed to be the ones that are the righteous witnesses. How are you going to judge somebody if you ain't witnessed? If you not carrying forth this word and this righteous word out of your mouth and living by it? How are you going to be a witness? How are you going to be a judge? So here we're going to read about King Jehu and how he dealt with the priests of Baal. We're not supposed to entreat that or allow that. 2 Kings, 2 Melachim, chapter 10. And we're going to start this at verse 1. All right, go ahead, brother.
All right, 2 Kings 10. And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria. And Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria unto the rulers of Israel, to the elders, and brought them that brought up Ahab's children, saying, Now as soon as this letter comes to you, seeing your master's sons are with you, and there are with you chariots and horses, a fenced city also, and armor, look even out to the best and meanest of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. But they were exceedingly afraid, and said, Behold, 2 kings stood not before him. How then shall we stand? And he that was over the house, and he that was over the city, the elders also, and the bringers up of the children, sent to Jehu, saying, We are your servants, and will do all that you shall bid us. We will not make any king. Do you that which is good in your eyes. Then he wrote a letter the second time to them, saying, If you be mine, and if you will hearken to my voice, take you the heads of the men of your master's sons, and come to me to Jezreel by tomorrow. This time, now the king's sons, being 70 persons, were with the great men of the city, which brought them up. And it came to pass, when the letter came to them, that they took the king's sons, and slew 70 persons, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jezreel. And there came a messenger, and told him, saying, They have brought the heads of the king's son. And he said, Lay you them in 2 heaps at the entering in of the gate until the morning. And it came to pass in the morning that he went out, and stood, and said to all the people, You be righteous. Behold, I conspired against my master, and slew him. But who slew all these? Know now that there shall fall unto the earth nothing of the word of Yahweh, which Yahweh spoke concerning the house of Ahab. For Yahweh has done that which he spoke by his servant Eliah. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in Israel, and all his great men and kinsfolks and his priests, until he left him none remaining. And he arose and departed and came to Samaria. And as he was at the shearing house in the way, Jehu met with the brethren of Ahaziah, king of Yehuda, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are the brethren of Ahaziah. And we go down to salute the children of the king of the children of the queen. And he said, Take them alive. And they took them alive and slew them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men, neither left he any of them. And when he was departed thence, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he saluted him and said to him, Is your heart right, as my heart is with your heart? And Jehonadab answered to his, If it be, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up into the chariot. And he said, Come with me, and see my zeal for Yahweh. So they made him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he slew all that remained unto Ahab in Samaria, until he destroyed him, according to the saying of Yahweh, which he spoke to Elijah.
And I believe that was the situation with Elijah when they, Jezebel, right? She tried to slay that guy land in Yehuda, or was it Samaria? Either way, he slayed the guy, and so that he could have his land, so he could have some land somewhere else. And Elijah came and said, "No, you're gonna die because of what you did. Yahweh's gonna judge you."
Yeah, he wanted that vineyard that he had.
Mm-hmm. I believe that was the case. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And Jehu gathered all the people together and said unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu shall serve him much. Now therefore call unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants and all his priests. Let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Wheresoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. But Jehu did it in subtlety, to the intent that he might destroy the worshippers of Baal.
So he set him up. Yeah, hey, he gonna serve Baal? Well, we gonna serve him a lot. We gonna have a ball. That's what they call it, balls. We're gonna have a ball. Go ahead.
And Jehu said, Proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. And they proclaimed it. And Jehu sent through all Yasharal, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that came not. And they came into the house of Baal. And the house of Baal was full from one end to another. And he said unto him that was over the vestry, Bring forth vestments from all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought forth the vestments. And Jehu went and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, Search, and look that there be here with you none of the servants of Yahweh, but the worshippers of Baal only. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said, If any of the men who I have brought into your hands escape, he that lets him go, his life shall be for the life of him. And it came to pass, as soon as he made an end of offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said unto the guards and to the captains, Go in and slay them, let none come forth. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and the guard and the captains cast them out, and went into the city of the house of Baal. And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal, and burned them. And they brake down the image of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a draught house unto this day. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of the house of Yasharal. Howbeit from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Yasharal to sin, Jehu departed not from after them, to wit, the golden calves that were in Bethel and that were in Dan. And Yahweh said unto Jehu, Because you have done well in executing that which is right in my eye, and has done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in my heart, your children of the 4th generation shall sit on the throne of Yasharal. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of Yahweh, Elohim of Yasharal with all his heart. For he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Yasharal to sin. In those days Yahweh began to cut Yasharal short, and Hazael smote them in all the coasts of Yasharal, from Jordan eastward, all of the land of Gilead, the Gadites, and the Reubenites, and the Manassites, from Aurora, which is by the river Arnon, even Gilead and Bashan. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Yasharal? And Jehu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Jehoaz, his son, reigned in his stead. And the time that Jehu reigned over Yasharal in Samaria was 28 years.
So this is what we're supposed to do. Once we are in control of our land, we're supposed to slay all that false doctrine. And this is what this brother did. He said, look, you murdered my people because they coming up in here and they worshiping this false god. So you having them murdered. So no, you finna get murdered. All you priests. So that the people, now the priests were dealing with who? The regular people. So he went and got all the leaders, all those people that are misleading his people, and he tore that place apart. And this is how we're supposed to do with the word. We're supposed to be false doctrine slayers. But how are you going to be a false doctrine slayer if you're a false witness? So that's why we study to show ourselves approved. We don't just jump out there and teach the first thing that we learn. We make sure we understand, we can prove it, and we don't just spread something because we heard it. Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be false doctrine slayers. And you can't do that if you're a false witness. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any questions or comments before we close out?
Just also, that's also
yeah, I just wanted to know what was the title for him.
Sure. The title is False Witness, False Doctrine Slayers. Slayers. All right, go ahead, brother.
Also in
you need this.
Go ahead. Also, in what you were reading it, in 2 Kings steps in the bottom of the book, study book, it does says Baal, B-A-A-L, and he does have next to it Lord, and it talks about pagan God, Moabites, and Canaanites. So I wanted to bring it up because people understand what, they can understand what Lord means. It means both.
Right.
So it is a definition that is in the book. So if they want to see it, it's there.
Exactly. All right.
Well, how can you tell?
Uh-huh.
How can you tell if it's meaning Baal or if it's meaning Lord, Christ, or something else?
Okay. Well, when you have the word the Lord, when you have the Lord written, take it off. When you have it written in all caps, then that was Yahweh's name, and they wrote it in the Lord, but they had Lord in all caps. That's Yahweh. When he's talking about Yahshua, when it's supposed to have been Adonai, it'll have just the capital L and then lowercase O-R-D, Lord. Then that's Adonai. So that lets you know it's talking about, it'll say the Lord God, usually the Adonai Elohim. Saying Yahshua now is talking about Yahshua. And then when you have just lowercase Lord, L-O-R-D, just lowercase, then that was just another master or sovereign person. It just wasn't meant towards a deity or a god. It was just a regular person. Like when we say Mr. or Mrs., it's the same word. It's just English. And Baal literally was the meaning of that, meaning Mr. or Mrs. or master. A wife would call her husband Baal, a master or something like that, out of respect. And it just got translated now to what we say, Mr. Mignot, Mrs. Mignot. Same thing. That would have been the lowercase. Now, Adonai. Go ahead. Adonai is A-D. O-N-A-Y. And that means master. That's what that means. But it's master in the form of the title, the highest master, which is given unto Yahshua. But then now you have Yahweh, which is the creator of all, which is the most high. He's above everything. But then you have the boss, the head, which is the master, which is Yahshua. And that's why when you see Adonai, we know it's referring to Yahshua, because we have been told that Yahshua is our master. Yahweh is our Elohim. He is our supreme being. But our master, the person we reckon to, that we have to follow instructions to, is Adonai, which was Yahshua. But him and his father, like we understand, Elohim are one, and he's just carrying out his father's instructions. The same way a general manager or a manager or a VP or whatever is just carrying out what the CEO or what the board is saying, this is what has to be done. So this is why they played around and they pulled certain things out, because it would get too confusing. Just like when we read Psalms, what was it, 118?
My Lord said to my Lord.
My Lord said to my Lord, sit down. It's like, it's confusing because.
What does that mean?
Well, because Yahweh said to my Adonai. See, it makes sense in Hebrew, but because they replaced the names that were originally there with their Englishry to make us worship Baal or Baal, it don't make any sense. But when you look at the Hebrew, you look at the Strong's word and see what Hebrew word was there, it would have said Yahweh said to my Adonai. Right. And that's just the Hebrew words.
Because I read that today and I didn't know what it meant.
Right. It's proof that, there's more than one entity here. They all reconcile to one, but it's Elohim. And that's why carnal can't understand the concept of Elohim. They can understand there's angels and all that stuff, but you can't understand that they're all one. What do you think? They're just separate entities that were just around? They came from somebody. They weren't sprouted at the same time Yahweh was sprouted. They came from Yahweh. Yahweh divulged that spirit and said, this is what I'm going to use. This is how I'm going to use my spirit. All right. No problem. Let's go ahead and end in prayer. We face the east towards Jerusalem. All brothers remove their head coverings, and all sisters pray with their heads covered. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the all of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim, and Yahshua, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for bringing us into another month, Yahweh, your 5th month, your Rosh Chodesh. And we're thankful that you have sent somebody into our lives, Yahweh, at all times. You have provided some light so somebody could slay the false doctrine in us, Yahweh, so that we could be righteous witnesses and truthful witnesses, Yahweh. For we understand that Israel, Yahshua, are your witnesses, Yahweh. So we put forth our maximum effort to learn this law and to learn from the righteousness of our brothers before us, the wise people that came before us, and show us how to judge righteously and how to rebuke and how to know when lies are in the equation, Yahweh. For we see if it's not according to your word, it's a lie, Yahweh. So we're thankful that you have allowed us to have a heart that could understand that and allow us to have eyes that we can see these things, Yahweh, so that we can not be false witnesses and slay the false doctrine within us, Yahweh. For that was the curse, that we would lose our heritage, Yahweh. So we have to fight to receive it back, Yahweh. We're thankful. Yahweh, all these things we humbly come before you and thank and pray through your holy, humble, anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, in which all praise, majesty, might, and dominion resides here and forevermore. Through you, your majesty, in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we thank and pray. Amen.
Amen.